Well, hello and welcome to episode 20 of the Crystal Clarity Podcast. I am so glad you're here and you are tuning in to an episode that has my Maine Coon cat Fang. Oh, my shoe is sitting behind me, and my Maine Coon cat Fang is sitting with me here to transmitting this episode. And I just found these garnet and smoky quartz crystals in my pocket, so they're here as well, all to bring forward this really breakthrough episode. Episode 20 is a breakthrough because I have been waiting to talk with you all about land healing and earth grid work. Ever since we started this iteration of the Crystal Clarity podcast, there used to be, I did a 55 episode vlogcast in the past, and it had a lot of information about working with stones and crystals in our mountains and our yards and our land and with the consciousnesses and landforms around us. And it's time to break back into that today in episode 20. And I'm so excited. This is a subject that's just so near and dear to my heart. And in this episode today, I'm going to tell you about the number one tool. I figure I'd start with the number one tool for working with stones and crystals on the land and in your home and for raising the vibration of space. And the number one tool for all of us doing this work, and for those of you that are here that are about to start doing this work, is quartz. Quartz is our number one tool that will be with us until the end of the times, helping us build the world in new consciousness and love and materialize our awakening on earth. Materialization is a pretty important topic for the earth. That's kind of what she's here doing and what she's all about. So today I'm going to talk to you about quartz and how and why it's our number one tool when we start to work with stones on the earth and on the land and, out in the greater world and with ley lines and mountains and other life forms. But what I'm going to tell you about is maybe a little bit different that you might be expecting about talking about quartz with land healing and earth grid work. But this is a transmission that was given to me, and it was given to me in dream. And in dream, from this wonderful, beautiful man, I'll tell you everything that he said to me. In dream, this man came and told me about the true nature of quartz. And this was right around the time that I was awakening on this path of moving my acupuncture and stone medicine from people and bodies and animals out to the world, because you can do the same work that you do on the meridians of the body out in the ley lines of the earth, right? So as I was making this progression, and just remembering and uploading all of this out of my bones and my consciousness, because it was something that was stored inside me from long ago. As I was making this transition, I had this dream. And in listening to this, I truly so hope that you can understand the true nature of quartz and its hidden capabilities as well. And it's a short dream. Before I tell the dream, I want to let you know some exciting news is that at the Upper Clarity School of Stone Medicine, we open up programs and trainings for people who want to do, an intermediate to an advanced level of work with stones and crystals. And I don't mean that you have to be somebody who's intermediate to advanced in your previous trainings. I just mean like you want to bring an intermediate to advanced level of presence to it, because it goes a little bit beyond your typical moving crystals around in some of the beginner trainings that you might find out there. So in our school, we open up different programs at different times, and we're about to open up for the second time ever our land healing and earth grid work program. So it's a perfect time to break into this, and there's a full training available for you with me if you want to take more trainings on how to work with grids out in your yard, how to build grids for different intentions, protection grids, light grids, how to build such things as earth altars, work with radionics, learn more about connecting your land to other lands, and just some really interesting tips that will bring your space alive. Because when your space is alive, all people have to do is walk into it to change. And I think those of you who have healing clinics and rooms and things like that, or who do work with space and the consciousnesses of space, indoors and outdoors, already know this. This course and program is about to open again. So come to upperclarity.com and take this training with me if you're interested in this. It is a lovely bunch of tools and skills that are beautiful, and we're about to open that again. So I am excited for that. We had one group of students go through it and had a tremendous experience with it. And then we closed the course for a while, and now we're getting focused back on that, and I'm going to be back in the course, and it's a wonderful experience. So now Our number one tool when we do land healing and earth woodwork is quartz. This is our number one tool. This is like flour if you were a baker. This is like a wrench if you were a mechanic. This is our tool. So I want to talk about our tool today. And it all goes back to a dream that I had when I was making this progression from working with the body to working with the land. And I had this dream that I was sitting on this park bench, and I looked to my side and I realized there was a man sitting there with me, and he was a beautiful, really open-hearted, wonderful, very bright eyes. He had dreadlocks, and he was clearly from another world. He wasn't from the earth. It was a visitation from somebody who was off earth. And he asked me a simple question. He looked at me and he said, "Hey, Sarah, when you pass on, when you go, how are people going to remember your song?" And I thought about that for a moment. And he said, "When you go, how are people going to remember your song?" And I was putting that, putting those pieces together in my head. And I looked up and he started playing the didgeridoo. He had the didgeridoo with him and he started playing these beautiful tones and like multi-dimensional tones through the didgeridoo. And he showed me very clearly that he was playing music, right? Music that he could train someone else to play. But riding on top of that was a layer of his feelings, his emotions, his heart, his soul, and his consciousness. And that layer of heart and soul and consciousness was able to ride on the sound and be transmitted to the world. And I saw that that was very different from the music that you could write down on the page and, tell someone else to play. And all of his heart and emotion were moving through, and he showed me really quickly all of these musicians through time. Amazing, well-known musicians just flashing by in an instant, and showed me how they were using their heart, their soul, and their consciousness when they were playing. And that's what they were putting out into the world. And the sounds and the music and the notes was just the carrier for their consciousness. And that's why you can give the same sheet music to Miles Davis as you would give to, some other trumpet player, and it would be completely different, and that Miles Davis could transport you with his consciousness because that's his song that he's putting out through the trumpet. That's his song. That's his energetic signature. And he looked at me and I understood because this music metaphor was so good, and he showed me all these three people through time, and he looked back at me, and then I knew what he meant by my song. How are people going to remember my song? I said, "Oh yeah, how are people?" Because it's nothing I could ever write down, right? It's nothing I could leave behind in a recording. It's nothing I could leave behind in writing. And he said, "People are going to remember your song through quartz. Quartz records your song." And it all just uploaded into me that moment. And I thought of how quartz is exactly what we use in Silicon Valley to record zeros and ones, right? The binary system of yes, no, right, wrong, black, white, the on off switch. It's either yes or it's no. It's either black or it's white. And I realized that quartz is the center player of Silicon Valley in the binary field of information. But he was showing me is that quartz is also the number one player in non-binary valley or the non-binary field of information, the field of information that goes beyond zeros and ones, the field of information that actually can track and record, store, and transmit your consciousness and your song. And all of this comes from the heart, doesn't it? It all comes from the heart. And at the place where we leave zeros and ones, when we get to the end of knowledge and we can no longer share knowledge anymore because it's already been written in the sheet music, when it's time to go beyond knowledge and we have to cross the threshold of binary into non-binary, the mind can no longer track us. the mind is left behind, and it shouts and it stammers, and it's like, I can't track you. I don't understand what's going on, right? And so many students, because our mind gets stuck here, get kind of lost in that kerfuffle in that moment. I can't define this in yes or no or A or B or right or wrong. And then those of us, and all of us can do this, right? Those of us who are willing to begin to interact with the invisible worlds, who are willing to interact with the non-binary. And this is what the woo is. This is one definition of the non-definable woo, is that we're willing to go beyond what we can say in yes or white, yes or no, black or white, right? And we go into this field of non-binary flux. And in that place, we actually can interact with a song. We actually can interact with energetic signature, right? And we can interact with consciousness. So quartz tracks us there too, and whether or not people know what they're saying when they say non-binary, this is actually what it means. It's just something that goes beyond yes or no and black or white. And it's somewhere where the mind can't follow. And I love these places that bring us to these thresholds where the mind just explodes because it can't follow us there. That's non-binary. That's the true non-binary. But guess who can follow us there? Guess who can track us? The heart. You'll find the heart in those places. And also quartz. Quartz can track us in those places. Now, what is so important about this? We just bridged third dimensional quartz in its third dimensional form, living as the king of Silicon Valley, to quartz in its fifth dimensional form, living as the king of non-binary Valley, the king of Woo Valley, the queen of Woo Valley. We just tracked quartz all the way to its higher dimensional form as we track ourselves to our higher dimensional form through the pathway of the heart. What's so important about this is when you're doing work, it's your prayer, it's your intention, it's your blessing. It's what's coming out of your heart that is encoding the person, that is encoding the healing, that is encoding the environment. It's what's coming out of your heart. And the more personal it is, the more power it has. And quartz is actually able to record those heart frequencies, those blessings you're doing, those mantras you're doing, the prayers that you're doing. Quartz is picking that up. And not only is it picking it up, it is recording it, storing it, holding it in time. So that's how people can remember my song when I'm gone, because it holds it in time. Quartz and crystals have this incredible relationship with time. But it's also directing, transmitting, broadcasting, harmonizing, ordering, and regulating those, my signature. It's just like, it's the conductor of the orchestra of my multidimensionality. So if you're doing work in the world that involves your prayer, right? I mean, this is what all of these consciousnesses around us are looking for. This is how they connect, right? Relationship is the great activator. If you're doing this work with prayer, blessing, your intention, your heart frequency, you need quartz to absorb, store, hold, transmit, radiate, broadcast that information. Just hold it in time. So y'all, that is the message for today. That is the bridge between third dimensional, non-binary quartz. And when you answer the multiple quiz question with either A or B, it's either A or B, right? And then we can bridge that all the way to fifth dimensional quartz, the level of the heart. Quartz follows us there. It follows us there. And then we bring out that question to the multiple choice that says D, all of the above. D, all of the above. Wait a minute, it wasn't black or white, it wasn't right or wrong. Nope, the mind got left back in the third dimension. My mentor Marna talks about everything. The answer is always D, all of the above. Because as we go into the flux, as we go into the non-binary worlds, and as we go into the fifth dimension, as we go into the void, it's really all possibility. But my message for you today is that quartz can track us there. It's with us in those spaces. That's why it's been around in all these worlds. This is what we've been building worlds with consciousness. I'm showing a picture right now. To those of you who are listening, I'm showing a picture in a frame of a giant quartz crystal adorned with flowers and bells and completely adorned like it's been in a ceremony. It has layers and layers of beautiful things on it. And this is a crystal that's in a very important temple on a very important grid point on the earth. And there are many monks attending to this crystal and doing many mantras and prayers and blessings and pujas and rituals around this crystal because this crystal has the energy of a divine being in it. And this divine being and its multidimensionality, right, beyond fifth dimension, right, can anchor down into this quartz because it can track us into these other dimensions. A divine being can anchor down into this quartz. There's so many reasons why that are dependent on its crystalline nature and other things, and this is a topic for another episode. But in this episode, I want you to know that how could a quartz possibly hold a divine being? How can these crystals be storehouses, a library for all the divine powers that exist, if they weren't able to go beyond the binary and exist in higher dimensions and in the non-binary? This is why quartz is the most important tool for land healing and earth grid work and moving our energy out into the grid and beyond, is because what we're actually moving out into the grid and beyond is our own consciousness and our own heart to connect with those other consciousnesses. And when everything comes together and connects, we kind of travel up the grid of the dimensions, and we keep moving higher and higher until we're back at that singularity of the oneness. And you know what? I think quartz is going to be there too. I think it's going to be in the singularity too. I think it's going to be there too. So y'all, thank you to the man who came into my dream from another world and showed me exactly how people are going to remember me when I'm gone. How they're going to know my song when I'm gone is because of the ability of quartz to track me in this dimension and others. So I hope that was helpful for you all, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for coming to the Crystal Clarity Podcast. Take care.